Halo is a franchise near and dear to my heart. That should be obvious. I mean, most of my channel is completely dedicated to it. But along the road to successes, there are bound to be some missteps and failures, and what I would like to talk about today is not a failure by any stretch. If anything, it's far too early to tell. I am of course referring to the upcoming Halo TV show. When it comes to things like this, I try to think rationally and not judge the whole package based on a few points or personal gripes. So that's what I'm gonna do. Rather than judge the Halo TV show entirely, I'm gonna put my 2 cents out there based on the few things that I do know. And based on what I do know, I'll just say it. The Halo TV show concerns me. And that concern has led to a feeling of indifference for the final product, regardless of the quality that it will eventually come out with. Let's start with what I would consider to be the main problem with the show at present: the delay. Don't forget that this was a project that was announced back in 2013 with the idea at the time for it to have connections to Halo 5 and Halo Nightfall. The show was seemingly an on-again, off-again project that would creep in and out of development hell for whatever reason at the time. This caused a considerable delay between the announcement in 2013 and the eventual push into production this year. That kind of delay is always going to have an effect on people who will question and assume things. Was the show cancelled? Oh man, people are leaving production, this show's going to be bad. They haven't even cast the characters yet, this show isn't going to make it. And many other colourful ways that you can think of to sum up the typical questions and concerns that would crop up when something like this happens. Delays of this length often cause a significant number of people to lose interest and become indifferent to the upcoming project. And after being in development for so long, I would hate to see the show go to waste thanks to indifference. It doesn't mean the show is going to fail. The show could be amazing for all we know, and if it is amazing, I would like to be among the first to sing its praises and shout to the heavens that it was worth the wait. But going off of things right now, this isn't a good look.
The shadow has arrived.
The next thing that concerns me is that the show itself isn't canon. I guess to most people this isn't a big deal, nor is it worth talking about, but for me as a viewer, having this be an extension of the universe is paramount to my enjoyment. I don't want to invest time in something that happens in an alternate reality or something that isn't canon. I hate it when TV shows and comics do this. I want something the community can write about, talk about, and get those dialogues and different opinions going. Obviously, you can still do this with a piece of non-canon media, but the key difference for me is that when I'm watching the finished episodes, I'll know that no matter what these characters do, what they say, or how the universe changes as a result of their actions, it doesn't matter. To the rest of the universe at large, it doesn't matter because it has no impact on anything beyond a tiny pocket universe. If Chief rides a missile directly into an invading Covenant fleet whilst wearing nothing but his armor and a cowboy hat, it's still non-canon, and for me, it lessens the impact. There are some good examples of non-canon Halo media, however. I'm not sure how many of you out there enjoyed the Halo Legends shorts, but I do have a soft spot for some of those non-canon additions, and a very rough spot for one particular short that I thought was non-canon thanks to it being bloody ridiculous, but then it was later confirmed as canon. Oh boy, I didn't like that one. There's apparently a character in the show that was raised by the Covenant to hate humanity. Do I even need to address this one? I am sure that there's more to the story and it'll get expanded as more information comes out, but I have to say that hearing the idea of the Covenant raising a human child to hate humanity, it makes me audibly groan and also gives me a headache. I don't know who made that decision, and I have suspicions as to why they did make that decision, but I disagree with the core concept on such a level that I cannot possibly see it working under any circumstance. I will still hold my judgment for when the show releases, or at least until we know more about this character, but for now, it's an extremely off-putting development to me.
Gathered friends.
And my final concern is what many would consider to be an elephant in the room, because we're in an age where things like race, gender, and other things are hotly debated topics. I'm not looking at it from any of those perspectives, nor do I give that much of a toss about it. What I would like to say is that I am not a fan of anybody altering the roles, ethnicities, genders, or anything else in the universes, be it Halo or otherwise. This, of course, leads me to the casting. For those unaware, the Halo TV show features some very well-known characters from the franchise, specifically Margaret Parangosky and Jacob Keyes. To date, or as far as I know, we have not yet seen Margaret in the flesh. While Jacob Keyes, on the other hand, we have seen in the flesh many different times, and he has always been portrayed as a white man. The actor cast for the TV show is actor Danny Sapani, who I am familiar with, strangely enough, because I remember him from a small role in the British TV series Little Britain, in which he portrayed the boyfriend of Fat Fighters rep Marjorie Dawes, a sketch that I still think is funny to this day.
You're fucking nuts!
But without beating around the bush, I see a problem with this casting decision, and it isn't a race problem, at least not to me anyway. I just find it weird when people are cast as characters that they clearly do not share the same ethnicity with. If Keyes was a totally new character, I would see no trouble with this, but he isn't. Since writing this video, I've seen more of Sapani's work, and he's a great actor, but would I prefer to have Keyes be portrayed by a white actor? Yes, I would, but it would be the exact same thing in reverse. I wouldn't want to see a white actor portraying somebody like Johnson. It's not exactly the same thing thanks to the sensitive nature of the subject, but I did find it weird when actor Gideon Emery was cast as both the face and voice of Captain Cutter in Halo Wars 2. Simply because Cutter was an older looking man in the first game, and in Halo Wars 2, it was clearly Gideon Emery's face just aged slightly. In that instance, would I prefer an older actor be portraying Captain Cutter in Halo Wars 2? Yes. We could go around in circles on this topic over and over. Some would say that my stance is disrespectful, insensitive, or some would even go as far to say that it was racist, but I disagree. Because there's clearly no hatred or malice here. I'm still gonna watch the show regardless of who's portraying certain characters. But I feel like these kind of choices ignore who a pre-existing character is, and if they're willing to ignore something as important as a pre-existing character's original intended and established design, even in a non-canon situation, then it makes me wonder what else they're willing to change. Regardless of what happens with the Halo TV show, like anything that Halo is developing right now, I hope it works out and I hope it represents the franchise well. But on the subject of casting changes, did you see how Paramount Pictures changed the casting of the Sonic movie? Yeah, they got rid of this dumpster fire and they replaced it with something that people are really digging. Excellent design choice, you guys. You done good.